So let's start prototyping. So here in Adobe XD, I'm just gonna go ahead and select all of our wireframes, and I'm gonna hold Shift as I click on each one of them. And we're just going to drag them out of our way. So we're gonna get them over here in line with the style guide. So let's think about how we want to do this. So we need to prototype in a way that we can easily navigate through these screens, the most effective way. And we're going to think about the interactions as well. So this is going to be multiple parts of prototyping. So first off in this video, the goal is going to be to get from the sign up screen all the way through the rest of these screens somehow through the app. So first off, let's go ahead and select the prototype mode. And I'm going to grab all of these elements that make up the sign up with email button. So I'm going to select the rectangle, hold Shift, grab the text, and grab the icon, Command G or Control G to group that together. And then I'm going to drag out a wire to the home screen. Now, it's up to you what really you want to do as far as transitions. Let's make sure we have transition selected, and let's just go with a dissolve, ease out 0.3 seconds. And notice how we have this home icon. That is the screen that's going to load up when we hit the desktop preview or we go to our device preview. So in this case, we're going to load up the desktop preview, and here we have our prototype. So you'll notice when I hover over the sign up with email, we now have the cursor change. And if I select that, we dissolve into the home screen. So from here, we're on the home screen. We need to select the profile image right here. That's going to take us to Tim Cloak's profile. So with that selected, I'm just going to drag over. And since we have a back icon, we're going to have this push in. So we're going to have the trigger set to tap. And then for the transition animation, we're going to go push left. And we'll have the easing set to do, let's go ease out, and 0.3 seconds. So this time, when we select sign up with email, now when we hover over Tim Cloak's profile icon, you'll notice our icon changes, and then it pushes in from the side. And we can also wire up the back icon now, so we can select that, drag it back, and change from push left to push right, because it's now going to push the opposite direction. Same settings overall, and then we can test it out. So if we select Tim Cloak's, we can then go back, and so now we can go back and forth infinitely. So now we have these three screens prototyped. We need to go into these two. So the next one's pretty easy. I'm just going to grab the contact text and that button and hit Command G or Control G to make a grouping. And we'll just drag this over. On this one, we're going to choose slide up, and this is just going to slide in over top of this. So if we preview this, we go to Tim's profile and we want to contact, we can do that because now it's slid up. So we'll go ahead and link up the close icons. We'll drag a wire back to the profile design screen. And this time we'll just slide right back down. Ease out 0.3 seconds again. So let's go ahead and test that out. We hit contact, it slides in. Then if we want to close, it slides back down. Very nice. For the last screen, how we're going to get there is we're actually going to create a new screen, and it's going to overlay on top of this one. So I'm going to go ahead and switch back to the design tab. And with this profile screen, I'm going to select it, hit Command D or Control D to create a duplicate. And I'm going to delete all the content. And then I'm going to select this artboard and actually set the fill to black. And then drop the opacity down to 85% here in the fill option. Just like that. I'm going to turn on our layout grid, and we're going to create a rectangle that is the full width from the left grid to the right grid. And for the height, we'll set this to 282 pixels. Before we move on, I'm just going to select any of our white rectangles. I'm going to right click, copy, select our new rectangle, right click, paste appearance. This is now going to apply our drop shadow and our border radius on the corners for us, so we don't have to do anything. You can also see that over here. Now, as far as this overlay's positioning on the screen, I'm first going to line this up until I can see the exact center of the artboard. Then I'm going to push this up so that the bottom of this card is touching the center line of this artboard. So now we can just grab this icon, hold Shift, grab Mark James's name and the company he works for, hit Command C or Control C, select our new artboard, and Command V or Control V to paste that in. Also, before we get ahead of ourselves, I'm going to go ahead and name this view profile, overlay, dash design. So now I'm going to take all of these elements and I'm going to put them in the top left corner of this box. I'm going to hold shift and hit my down arrow on my keyboard to go down 10, 20, and then to the right 10, 20. Next, I don't want this huge gap because we're condensing this. So we're just going to adjust this to 13 pixels to match the space in between the name and the company Mark works for. Next, we can borrow another element. I'm going to select the send message button, copy that, and paste it in. And we'll just position that 20 pixels below the company name. And that's also going to position that 20 pixels from the bottom of the card, which looks nice. And we'll title this button View Profile. Lastly, we need a way to close this overlay. So we'll just go over and grab this X, Command C or Control C, Command V or Control V to paste it in. We'll do the exact same thing we did with this avatar. We'll go down 20, holding shift using my down arrow key, 10, 20, and to the left, 10, 20. So if we select that, you can see how that aligns. So that is it for this overlay. So we can just turn off the grid. And now we can switch back to the prototype tab. Once we're in the prototype tab, I want to select either of these guys' face to bring up a screen like this. In this case, we're only going to be selecting this face. So once we've done that, I'm just going to drag over to the view profile overlay. And we're going to set this to a tap. The transition is going to be overlay. So if you noticed, our artboard has no background now. Since it's an overlay, Adobe XD automatically turns off the white background. But since we've adjusted that, we just need to go back into our design and check the fill once more. Another way to get around this is to uncheck the fill and just drag out a rectangle that's the full size of the artboard, fill it with that 85% opacity black, and then you don't have to worry about this. But this is just a simple fix, so I'm just gonna turn it back on. Head over to the prototype tab. Now we can hit our desktop preview. And since we don't want to go through this every time we load it up, I'm just going to select the artboard we want to start in. So I'll just select that. It pulls it up for us. When we hover over Mark's face, we now get a click icon. So we know we can click on it. We click on that, it brings up our overlay. Now how the overlay works in Adobe XD, we can click anywhere to actually close that out. We don't even just have to click the X. We can just click anywhere on the screen. The next thing we want to do is we want this view profile button to actually work. So I'm going to select the text, hold shift and grab the rectangle and then hit Command G. Next, I'm going to drag out our wire to the client profile screen. We're going to make sure this is set to a transition and not an overlay. Set the animation to dissolve, ease out over 0.3 seconds. So I'm going to go back to the contact screen. When we select Mark's face, we get our overlay, view profile. It takes us to Mark's screen. Now for the back icon on the client profile, I'm actually going to send this back to the home design. And this is going to be a push right, ease out over 0.3 seconds. So now we can take a look at what we have. If we hit sign up with email, we can view our home page. We can select Tim Cloaks. From here, we can select to contact. And here we can either view Tim's profile if we had set that up, but we only have Mark's going, but that's fine. We can test out that functionality with that. Or we could close this. So we're going to select this and then we're going to have our overlay, view the profile. And when we hit the back icon, it's going to take us back to home. So that is our basic prototyping for our app. Now we're going to add just a little bit more to it. So we'll start doing that in the next lesson. As always, have a great day and I'll see you in the next one.